Hey, what's up everybody? I do apologize for any lag or any interruption of the stream on this Friday, January 12th, 2018. As you can see, it is foggy. I mean, it wasn't this foggy when I came in, but all of a sudden the fog decided to roll in, and I apologize for that. I apologize for that. I mean, I understand how people feel right now. But yeah, apparently the fog decided to roll in while I tried to clock into work. But apparently I don't start till 9:30. So I've got about, let's see, 40 to 30 is 50. You know, so 50 to 30 is 40. So I got about 40 minutes to go. So again, I do apologize for any interruptions, kind of like what we just had, discussions, interruptions, disruption of the stream, like if the stream goes off all of a sudden it has to be resumed, or if it gets a little like kick because the stream's weak or something like that. But I thought I'd come on here and, while I've got the 40 minutes, if you will, which I think I do, or 41 minutes, and kind of talk to you about and kind of discuss things MLP related. As you probably know, a lot of my more recent videos, except for one, were mostly all MLP. The only one that wasn't was my Disney Afternoon Funko unboxing, where I unboxed some Funko figures from the Disney Afternoon lineup that they're doing. That was the only unrelated one, but everything else has been pony related. It's like my recent pickups, my collection action, if you will, and of course the unboxing of the Power Ponies and the movie gift set that I got here for my job. But here's the biggest question, though. Here's the thing, though. A lot of people still get the. Here's the one thing I want to discuss. The first thing I want to discuss is, why do people still kind of ask the question of why? Why do people still ask and wonder why adults like myself, like the people at the Rift Cafe and Secret Rift Cafe, like Silver Quill, Lightning Bliss, people like that. Silver Quill, Lightning Bliss, Keyframe, Golden Fox, Firebrand, Dusty Cat, Why do they still ask the question of, why we're fans? Why do people still ask the question of why people like us at our age, in our generations, why we're fans of MLP, My Little Pony Friendship is Magic? And I've talked about this before, and I think anybody else has talked about this before. It's the fact that the reason I believe we're fans, is because when you take a look at what's on television nowadays, and even through the streaming channels, there's some good programs, don't get me wrong, there are some good programs, but a lot of other stuff out there is not so good. And when you take a look at a show like MLP, it's like this show has everything people have been wanting. It has everything people have, I guess, wanted in a show, whether it's live action or it's animated. It's got good storytelling, it's got good humor, It's got a lot of elements that you would like to see and have in the show. I mean, true, the show originally started off being intended for a younger generation, mostly young girls, maybe some young boys. But in time, it became something a little bit more that I think even Lauren Faust, who in a sense has even hinted herself that she kind of intended for something like this to happen Lauren Faust herself, you know, like I said, even kind of hinted that she intended for something like this to happen. I don't think she would even expect. And now because of the sudden surge in popularity for the show by the adult fan base, the unexpected adult fan base, as that documentary calls its Blu-ray DVD. Now we got another season upcoming, because of that, now we have 2 seasons coming, and whether we want to admit it or not, we have, in a sense, a very successful spin-off in Equestria Girls as well. So, it's hard to believe that something like that would exist. You know what I'm saying? Well, something like that would be a reason for that stuff to happen, for that stuff to exist. And so, again, when I hear people ask that question, even my family, even though they've come to an understanding, they still like to tease and kind of find it a little weird. Here's the deal. The younger generation, like my nephews, like my second older nephew, my great nephew, and my third youngest nephew, they may or may not understand why I like it. I mean, they're coming to grips. I mean, yeah, they still like to tease and all that. Heck, when I was working Thanksgiving, all because I said something stupid, they decided to tease me a little bit with photos that they took and sent to my instant messenger, or decided to text to me of what was going on. And they teased me by having one of the pictures taken, I guess, by my brother-in-law of my nephews, my 2 youngest nephews, my great nephew and my third youngest nephew, pointing at my pony figures. So in a sense, they still tease, and I'm sure I'm not the only one that still gets a teasing, but it's more along the lines of, in a sense, the adult portion of my family is coming to an understanding, but still kind of, even though they're coming to an understanding, they still kind of find it weird, and they still kind of question, why, in a sense. They may not come out and totally ask that, but you can kind of tell that, in a sense, they still wonder, why an adult like me is into a show like that. And I think the reason the reason they don't ask as much anymore, but still kind of wonder in their own way, is because I've suggested to them, and I think I've even provided links for them to look it up online and see for yourself. And apparently they may have done that and realized, oh crap, there is an adult fan base for this that even includes families. So, to me, I think that's probably the biggest takeaway from this whole scenario, is the fact that my family hold on for a sec. Sorry about that. But like I said, I think that's the biggest takeaway, that from my family, and I'm sure anybody else's family, is once you kind of let them know, hey, look it up yourself, kind of see that I'm not going crazy here, then when they look it up, it's like, oh, he wasn't going crazy. It is true. There is an adult fan base. Which isn't a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. Because, even my older sister gets called out sometimes for still liking cartoons meant for young kids. Why? Because there's nothing really good on. It's kind of like... It's kind of like, if you ask a parent, oh, why do you let your 10-year-old, 9-year-old child watch The Walking Dead or watch Game of Thrones when they're not supposed to? because it's not, when they're not supposed to, because, you know, age-wise, it's not meant for them, but yet they still watch it. It's because, in a sense, maybe the child might be more intelligent than we give them credit for, and they understand it, and maybe they might find it cool to watch something like watch those kind of shows, even though they're not meant to. Maybe they feel like, hey, we're comfortable watching it, we don't have a problem with it, it doesn't scare us, it doesn't harm us, you know, we're totally cool with it. And okay, fine. That's totally understandable. That's totally cool. It's like, okay, fine. That's totally understandable. That's cool. We get that. You know, you like it because you can understand it. You accept it. It doesn't scare you or anything like that. Okay, fine. So so basically, if you ask a child that question and they give you that answer, you kind of get the same vibe in a sense as to why adults like My Little Pony. Yes, it's originally meant for young kids, but there's something about it that really attracts a lot of folks. And if you give it a chance, you will see exactly what people are talking about. I mean, people have even said, if you watch certain episodes and you listen to the morals, some of the morals of the lessons, some of the morals and the lessons are very deep and mature. Which is, you know, hard to believe. You know, coming from a show originally meant for kids. But if that's not all, how about the fact that, now we're going to get off of that for a second, but honestly, you know, I think a lot of people should realize by now that, hey, asking the question still is kind of ridiculous, because if you've known your adult friend and is a fan, whether they're married, engaged, they have kids of their own, if you find out that they're a fan, don't question it still, because you know what? It's totally their decision. They want to like what they're going to like, let them like what they're going to like. I mean, if you have people, I mean, come on. Look at, I'll give you an example. If you don't really want people to know too much, even though they should have an idea, just let them know that if you're buying something, like let's say yesterday I bought the Sequestria Canterlot set for $45 because it's gone down in price. If somebody asks you, you know, who you're buying that for, and you say, oh, I'm buying it for a friend, that's all you have to say. I mean, if you want to say, oh, I'm buying it for myself, they might question you and say, wonder why. And they would, all you have to do is say, just look up adult fans of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. That's all the answers you need. So, you know, there you go. I mean, I think one of the biggest examples is Ben's Toy Ben, Lightning Bliss, yes, and several others that are parents, that have kids of their own, that love the show. Dr. Wolf is a good example. So you kind of get the idea. So anyway, getting away from that, let's talk about another thing that's been discussed, kind of a rumor. And this is a rumor you want to take with a grain of salt. Because if Generation 5 is supposed to retain the main 6, why is there a rumor going around that Applejack's character may not be around? Here's my thought on process on that. One of the concept designs for Applejack in Generation 5 did not garner favor with the fans. It didn't. It didn't garner favor with any of the fans because of how different it looked. I mean, all the other characters, and apparently Pinky and Rainbow Dash, who we haven't seen designs of yet, but now we have because of a recent leak. Apparently Applejack got the biggest redesign of them all. I mean, she got like a complete makeover. But here's the thing. Applejack is quite possibly one of the most beloved characters on that show, if not one of the more popular ones. Now, some might say, oh, that doesn't show too much. Oh, it shows. It shows. The only reason why this rumor has started over at DHX, at possibly Hasbro, well, mostly DHX, and maybe it has flowed across the fan base, it's because maybe someone at the creative staff said, hey, look, Applejack, someone, I'm guessing, at the creative staff may have not found Applejack to be very interesting. You know what I'm saying? Hold on for a sec, and I apologize if any interruption happens in a moment. Checking my time too. I got about 25 minutes. But like I said, you know, the people may not, you know, someone at the creative staff may not like Applejack for all we know. They may not like her. And maybe because they don't like her, they don't find her interesting. And maybe they came up with the idea of, hey, maybe we should remove Applejack or do something. Here's the thing. When it's all said and done, Applejack, I believe, is still going to be around. She's still going to be part of the group. She may have a slight alteration to her design. Maybe you'll get possibly what the second concept art of her is. A little bit thrown in. Because here's what I see. I see her design for Generation 5 being a mix between what she is now, what her design is now, and what they're proposing. That's what I think. I mean, heck, I think one of the designs they have on there kind of has a little bit of that mixture, in a sense. And I think whatever they come up with, it's going to be a little different, but it's going to be recognizable. In other words, she may look different, but she'll be recognizable. It's kind of like with Rainbow Dash. It's kind of like with Pinkie Pie. Since Fluttershy is going to be going the unicorn and possibly alicorn route in Generation 5, Pinkie Pie is going to take her place as a Pegasus. So it only makes sense, hence, that the biggest design for Pinkie Pie, biggest change for Pinkie Pie, would be the wings and all that. But as far as Applejack being removed from the show, being removed from the franchise, being removed from Generation 5, and being not involved, I don't believe that. I think mainly it might have been someone at the creative staff. It might have been someone during discussions and all that. Because you got to remember, you got several creative members, writing staff members on the show. You got several writing members, several script writers, story writers on the show as part of the creative team, and each of them submits an idea for the characters and how they probably feel about them. And for me, I think when these leaks happened, one of the leaks that got one of the story ideas, or one of the ideas that one of the creative staff or script writers of the creative staff came up with might have been the removal of Applejack, and that might have been the one that got leaked out, or probably became the most notable out of the leaks. But to me, I don't think Applejack's going to be gone. I don't think that's going to happen. Like I said, she's too much of a beloved character. She's too popular. Let's be honest. She may not seem as popular as, let's say, a Rainbow Dash or a Pinkie Pie or a Twilight or even a Rarity, but she is popular. Heck, she's more popular, I hate to say this, than Fluttershy. And there are times... Sorry about that interruption there. What was I? Oh, yeah. Again, I don't think she's going to be gone because Applejack is a very beloved character. There's no doubt about this. She's very beloved. And there are times, okay, she may not be as popular as Rarity, Rainbow Dash, Pinkie, and Twilight, but there are times that when she's portrayed in a certain way in the comics and in the cartoon, that her popularity over succeeds what Twilight's is, over succeeds what Rainbow Dash's is, Pinkie Pie's is, Rarity's is. And that has been done on several occasions, if not a lot of occasions. And you know what? A lot of people like the episodes she's involved in. They like it because she's the most realistic, down-to-earth pony that they have on that show, and the most relatable. Heck, if you take a look at, what she goes through, it's perfectly understandable. I mean, why do you think they picked why do you think they went the route they did this most recent season, when we finally got to see who her parents were in The Perfect Pair? Why do you think they went that route? They went that route because they knew that if they were going to go any kind of route with a character like Applejack and it came to her parents, they knew fans wanted something that they knew they could relate to through Applejack's perspective. And that's what they did. The point is, despite what maybe one or two people might say when discussing what they have planned for season 5 or what they want to do in season 5 with the characters, it's not written in stone yet. It is just concept writing, concept art, concept discussion. And for some reason, that part of the concept discussions, those ideas, or concept ideas of what to do with what characters, got leaked, and that among the leaks got the most notable, got noticed the most, if you will. So, to me, I don't think Applejack is going to go anywhere. I think she's going to remain. I think that if they do a redesign with her, it's going to be a slight alteration to where you might get a little bit of what one of the proposed redesigns is. You might get, like I say, you might get something of like what one of the proposed redesigns is. But to me, it's going to be a blend. It's going to be a mixture. It's like you're going to get what she looks like now in a sense, but you're going to have a little bit of that, probably that white, some of that redesign, like from that second or third concept art design for her mixed in. That's how I see Applejack appearing maybe in season 5, in Generation 5. She'll have that mixture of, she'll look like she does now, but you'll see a little bit of slight alterations here and there. Now, one other discussion. Recently I did a video on Spike and Rarity. And it was a theory video. And I shared it with everybody that I can think of. From the MLP forums, the forums at Equestria Daily. I shared it and several of the MLP forums on Facebook and on Twitter to several fellow fans as well. And I'm going to say this. Folks. My video was nothing more than a theory. You see, I understand some people don't believe it's going to happen. And they might be right. But all I did in that video was point out the fact of why I believe that if season 9 is the last season, and we could be wrong, we could get a 10th season that's going a full decade of MLP Friendship is Magic. But if season 9 is the last season, or even season 10, if they go with season 10, is the last season, I basically believe, in my opinion, that they will go in the direction of putting Spike and Rarity together. Why, you may ask? Here's the thing, whether you want to believe it or you don't. They have basically teased this, hinted at it, given us moments after moments, episode sometimes after episode, that centers around it, acknowledges it, plays around with it. And why? What? Just because he has a schoolboy crush on her? And you're just going to leave it at that? Or are you doing this because there's something more? I mean, look, I can get and understand, like I said, I can get and understand that people, like I said, believe it's nothing more than a schoolboy crush and it's not going to go anywhere. Okay. if it's a schoolboy crush, then shouldn't have Spike gotten over it by now? I'm just saying. Shouldn't he gotten over it by now? By at least, I don't know, season 4 or season 3? You know, season 2 he acknowledges it, so shouldn't he be over it by now? Nope. He still has that crush. He still has it. And like I pointed out, why is it every time a story centers around him, whether it's Secret of My Excess, which is probably the most prominent of them all, or Dragon Quest, or Gauntlet of Fire, or the upcoming episode Meltdown in season 8. You know, and then several of the other episodes, like episode 13 in season 5. Or, you know, moments like that. And even his acknowledgement when he tells Pinky and Twilight, and I think the rest of the main 6 besides Rarity, hey, this is why. I like to help Rarity out. I have this huge crush on her. You know, why do all this, even up to most recently and upcoming, if you're not planning on going in a direction that's going to say, hey, let's make it official, because we've teased it well enough. It's been almost a decade's worth of teasing. Let's finally make this happen. Whether people believed it would, whether people don't think it would happen or not, it's gotta happen. And you know what? I think, in my opinion, I stick by it. I think they're gonna do it. I really do. Because if you're gonna keep teasing, even from the days that even from the beginning, when Lauren Faust was the executive producer, and even through Megan McCarthy's run, even though Megan said it would never happen, why tease it all the way up to there, and then even continue it in a sense now with the Nicole DeBach run in season 8? You know, why do that? Huh? I mean, heck, you basically, the poster of the movie even shows this. The poster that I have, the cover of the DVD, the Blu-ray, has Spike next to Rarity, not on top of Twilight like in, let's say, the cover for the soundtrack CD, or in one of the original posters, in one of the first posters. No, it has Spike next to Rarity. Heck, in the movie, they even acknowledge it in a sense with when Twilight and Spike go up to the rest of the main 6. Everybody, all the others, say hi to Twilight, but Rarity says hello to Spike. And Spike kind of like says, hi Rarity, and he blushes. Why? Because it's there. Why would they put that in there? Because they know they have to do something, one, to kind of let the non-fan base, the casual movie-going audience, go like, oh, he has a crush on this girl. Okay. Oh, there's something there between the two. Okay. And then why else? And then why? How about this? When they meet Capper, and Capper's being all charming and kind of flirtatious with them, and Rarity kind of giggles at this. Why does Spike go like, I'm just saying, folks. You know, you can sit here and you could deny, you could watch this and deny all you want, but you know Hasbro and DHX and even now Toon Boom wouldn't do that, and the people writing the script for the movie wouldn't do that, or they wouldn't write the script for certain episodes throughout the show's history if they didn't have something planned. And you can't tell me that Nicole DeBach or Josh Haber or Jason Teresen or M.A. Larson or whoever isn't going to decide, hey, season 9 could be it, or if we go one more season after that, season 10 could be it. Let's make it happen. We've pretty much hinted at it long enough. Let's go and make it happen, because you know what? fans are going to want to see it happen, whether they want to admit it or not. Now, I'm not trying to upset people when I say people will want to see it whether they want to admit it or not. Because even if they finally do an episode where it's acknowledged that Rarity does feel something for Spike more than just friendship, maybe there is something there, and more than just that goes beyond friendship, what have you. You know, even if they do that, and they do, and that episode basically culminates with both of them acknowledging that they have, that basically there's something more between them than friendship, and you kind of start off the relationship in a sense like that, not in your face, not like, oh, they're always going to be goo eye every episode, but basically acknowledge it like, okay, they're a couple now, fine, whatever, and still go on with your merry way with business as usual. You can't tell me that, even though you deny it, that in a sense you won't be happy, you won't be smiling on the inside or happy on the inside that it's finally occurred. That you're like, you can't tell me that you won't be like, finally, it's been addressed. Finally, they're together. Now we can move on. Because you know what? There have been a lot of scenarios in shows, in movies, comics, what have you, that have done the same thing. You know, some people may not be in favor of a pairing or a ship tease or possible shipping or possible ship tease, but when the shipping finally officially happens, even though they're not in favor of it, they've actually praised it. They've actually said, yeah, I was actually kind of happy it happened. I was actually kind of proud that it happened. You know why? Because it was a long time coming. And they knew it. They knew it. That's why you have a lot of the Rarity Spike supporters out there. That's why you have a lot of the Sparity supporters, which is Sparity, short for Rarity and Spike. You know, that's why you have them. That's why you have them out there. And they're still out there. Probably bigger and stronger than ever. It's kind of like with Sonic and Sonic's thing with Sally. You have Sonic and Amy fans on one end, you have Sonic and Sally fans on the other. And guess what's the most larger of the group? Sonic and Sally. And guess what? Even though people who have read the comic and watched the show don't like the fact that they're together, at least there have been people that maybe when Doomsday Project came around, which was the final episode of Sad AM, Sonic Sad AM, as well as several times in the comic, that when Sonic and Sally got together again, you can't tell me that those people, even though they never liked the pairing or never felt that the pairing was justified, weren't smiling on the inside and weren't happy at the fact that these two were back together again, and together again because they knew at least now they can move forward with other stories. And that's the thing about Spike and Rarity. And I know I've been going on about this for a majority of the video, but I think that's the thing. The same thing can be applied here. You know, the same thing can be applied here. That Spike and Rarity is probably going to happen, but I think they're saving it for the last season of the show, for the final season of the show, because in a final season of anything or a finale of anything, you can pretty much do what you want. Pretty much do what the fans have been asking you to do. And you know what? I think that's what's going to happen. I think they're saving it for the last season, and then that's when we're going to finally see these two come together. And Meltdown may be one of the episodes that starts that chain reaction, but then there will be another episode in Season 8 that involves Spike that may also start the progress down that direction. Trust me, something tells me Meltdown's just the beginning, and that other episode in Season 8 I think is going to continue the progress towards the Spike Rarity realization. Hey, it's just my opinion, okay? Just my opinion. I could be wrong, and if I'm wrong, fine. But you can't tell me that DHX Media and the creative staff behind MLP FIM does not see the fanfic work, the fan artwork, and the PMVs, the pony music videos, dedicated to these two. You can't tell me that. Heck, my first PMV pony music video was based on these two. I'm just saying, you can't tell me they don't know about it. So to me, I think now that Nicole Duboc is the executive producer, I think we're gonna have a better chance, a better opportunity at seeing it become a reality. And you know what? With possibly season 9 being the last season, or maybe even a season 10 being the last season, I think without a shadow of a doubt, it's going to happen. You know, you could sit here, watch this video, you can stand there, watch this video, whatever. It's going to, you know it's going to happen. So, that's all I'm going to say on it. Let me say on that. Now, one other thing I do want to talk about. One other thing I do want to talk about. One other thing I want to talk about is season 9 and how it's going to tie in with Generation 5. Now, the reason I say this, and I've got about 5 minutes to go before I clock in, but the reason I mention this is because let's take a look at some of the news coming out of these leaks. One of the news is one of the informations that have come out of these leaks, whether you want to take these leaks with a grain of salt or you don't, and you want to believe them or you don't, is that Equestria Girls, which is a spin-off of MLP, of Friendship is Magic, is still going to tie in with to My Little Pony, and it's going to tie into Generation 5. It's still going to continue into Generation 5. But if it's going to tie into Generation 5, how is that possible since this is going to be a new generation? It's going to be a new concept. Are they going to travel into another dimension, and in this dimension you got to, instead of just one world, you got several worlds of pony races? That might happen. That might be the way it happens. But the way I look at it is I think Generation 5 is going to tie in to Equestria Girls because it's going to be tying in to Generation 4. You know, I've talked about this before and I'll say it again. I think what they need to do is, if season 9 or season 10 is the last season of the show, one of those seasons, if we get a season 10, they need to use that season to tie into Generation 5. They need to use the final episode of that season of Friendship is Magic and have some kind of event happen to where it ends on a cliffhanger, and the only way you could see what happens is to, and like I said, the only way you could see what happens is to tune in to Generation 5. That's the way I look at it. I think, honestly, that's what they need to do. They need to do a cliffhanger finale, and they need to say in the end, in text or something like that, when they fade to black, to see what happened, to basically say when they fade to black on that final episode, that to let people know that if you want to see what happens, tune in the following week, or tune in September, or whenever Generation 5 premieres, to see the aftermath, to see the conclusion of this cliffhanger and what the effects will be. Because I think that's what they need to do. They need to basically use this episode. You need to use season 9, especially towards the finale. If season 9, or even if we get a 10th season, they need to use one of them as basically building to a cliffhanger finale that will lead us into Generation 5 and basically tie it in continuity-wise as a sort of a soft retcon reboot. In other words, have the characters go into Generation 5, maybe with the redesigns, maybe the switch of aces, you know, the new looks and all that. and then continue on from there. Because if they do that, if they go in that direction, to where they tie in Friendship is Magic with the next MLP series, it would work. I'll give you a good example. Beast Wars finale may not look like it at first, but Beast Wars tied in to Beast Machines. Beast Machines kind of followed a similar situation to where something happened that caused everything to change and get softly rebooted and retconned. In my opinion, I think that's exactly what needs to happen with this. If you're going to keep your fan base going, and if you still want to plan to target that adolescent teen demographic that watches shows like Steven Universe and Adventure Time and a few others, then this is the way to do it. And if you still want to maintain your young generation of audience, this is a way of doing it as well. You basically end the final season, in the final episode of the final season, on a cliffhanger that softly, that does some kind of whiteout or something like that. You fade to black, and then you say in text, to find out what happens, tune in on next week, or tune in on such day in such month to My Little Pony Generation 5, or whatever the subtitle will be for it, to see the aftermath. Because you know what? You do that, you'll get, if they do that, they will keep fans' attention, they will keep fans' interest, and they'll want to see what happens. And then you could have the characters, just like in Beast Machines, even though it took about an episode, the first episode, you can have the characters, you know, wake up in the softly retconned, rebooted continuity with the races switched around, and basically the world may be split into several worlds that are occupied by the races of pony. So I think that's what they need to do, because that way it makes more sense if you want to still continue tying Equestria Girls in to the main MLP series. That's a good way of doing it. And you can even have MLP, you can even have the soft retcon and reboot affect the Equestria Girls world as well. So I think that's what they need to do. As far as, you know, Generation 5 goes, they need to tie it in with the current generation, tie it in with Generation 4, and basically have it happen as occur, and basically have the last episode of Friendship is Magic end on a cliffhanger, a whiteout cliffhanger, to where something happens to where things get softly rebooted and retconned, and the only way to find out what the result will be, the aftermath will be, is to tune in to Generation 5 the following week, or on such day and month of when it premieres, to see the aftermath. So that's all really I'm going to say on it. So that's about it. I got to head into work. Let me know what you guys think down below. Comment if you like. And I will talk to y'all later. Thank y'all for watching live. I really appreciate it. Thank y'all for watching post live. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. And I will talk to y'all later. God bless. Take care. I'm out.